What's up guys, the Strong Boys 19 here. This is going to be more or less like a long ramble, if you like to call it that way, about this one band that I really want to personally talk about. And it is very, very much something that has been in my mind to talk about this. If you guys haven't seen my community section post, this is going to be from a band that I have previously addressed in a few videos of mine through two separate album reviews. And I want to share with you guys this whole thing about what I could possibly see as a guilty pleasure. Now, the term guilty pleasure is something that not all music fans would really accept, because there are so many people that would say, why do you need to have a guilty pleasure? You can listen to whatever you like to listen to. Don't listen to what the others and naysayers say about this whole thing. But I do think that guilty pleasure is a term that has definitely made me realize. It made a reflection on bands that I used to listen to when I was discovering music. And I have no apologies to say that I have some bands that I still do love to listen to. Even these bands back in the day were like my jam, if you will. Bands like with Coal Chamber to Mudvayne and Seether. Seether being one of my favourite bands, who are severely underrated in my opinion. And there was another band that I actually liked as well that I've come back to not too long back. A band called Fightstar, an alternative post-hardcore style band with Boston musician Charlie Simpson. I have so many memories of listening back to these types of eras from my early journey in my life of discovering music. And yeah, there were some bands over time that I had been moving away from, because I have heard later on better bands in originality, creative peaks, style, and genres that I would later on become so admiring and fascinated with. But this is a band that I'm going to talk about in this video that you guys would not be surprised. This is one band that I actually did like in the early days of checking out music as a whole, since I was an early teenager. The band is Limp Bizkit. Now, I know a lot of you guys may have your own different views on Limp Bizkit, either positively or negatively, but ever since that I was growing my music taste, I was moving swiftly away from Limp Bizkit. Mainly because that while I actually did like some of the tracks, from the late 90s to early 2000s, really from the first three albums of $3 Bill, Y'all, Significant Other, and Chocolate Starfish, which I still think is an atrocious album title, but it's hilarious to me the more I think about it, because, when it comes to Limp Bizkit, there are many things to accept. The biggest thing that I will say is that I absolutely appreciate their identity and attention, yet they had been one of the biggest household names in the new metal genre from the mid to late 90s. And yet alone, these guys have been hugely responsible to make new metal big, just like with the other bands in the genre, like Korn, one of the pioneers, and same goes with other bands like Slipknot and Linkin Park. But Limp Bizkit has been an important band for this era in metal music. So I actually did like various tracks through music videos, really from, as I said, the early era of the band. And then I had grown my disdain of Fred Durst because I thought Fred Durst had been one of the most annoying, aggravating, and just simply, in my opinion at the time, one of the worst musicians and lyricists. But here's something that did happen. Yet alone, after I had done my review for Results May Vary, which I still consider to be one of the worst albums of all time, and it made me think back when I did review Still Sucks, which was a scathing review. I know, I mentioned this before and I'll say it again, I did think Still Sucks was one of the worst records of 2021. And it became my most disliked review. But I appreciate that album's presence for it being self-aware. Yet alone, the album did get the best amount of positive reviews ever since, say, like Significant Other, and even some people love the Chocolate Starfish album. So I decided to come back to this band out of this heavily random curiosity, and just like I said earlier on, I had some nostalgia when I was listening to this band through the music videos. And this goes without saying that I do respect Limp Bizkit so much, but the more I really got to understand why people love them and like them in general, I can see why so much better now. And this is no word of a lie either. It took me 14 years. It took me 14 years nearly to just accept Limp Bizkit for who they are. Now, I didn't tell you this, guys, until right now. I was actually listening back to a lot of Limp Bizkit. The last time I went to the gym, working out on my stamina process, I was listening to Significant Other because I've heard so many fans say that album is their favourite or the best Limp Bizkit album. But not only that, I was listening to a ton of the repeated tracks from the Chocolate Starfish album. And My Generation had been my favourite Limp Bizkit song. And it made me think about the other tracks that I think were bangers. And they still are, to be fair. Like Take a Look Around, My Way, even some of the stuff from the debut, $3 Bill Y'all. I've revisited that album just yesterday. When it comes to the musicians, Limp Bizkit's musicianship, now the more I've become more open-minded and to give the band a lot of credit, they are amazing musicians. Wes Borland, great guitarist. John Otto, stunning rhythmic drummer. Sam Rivers, I really appreciate him so much. Very underrated as well. And even the former House of Pain member, DJ Lethal. And yes, I do love listening to some hip-hop with some DJ sample scratching. Like when I listen to Slipknot, Sid Wilson's path in Slipknot's music has been significant. And with Limp Bizkit's way of writing, there was a huge thing that I did not understand about Limp Bizkit at the time, until it made me think about it so heavily. Bands that are not meant to be taken seriously, like with Tenacious D, Bowling for Soup, Steel Panther, that is another part of Limp Bizkit's identity. They're not meant to be taken seriously. Yes, I know that I have heavily criticised the lyrics on Results May Vary because I really do not like some of the lyrical content. You know, tracks like with Head for the Barricade and Eat You Alive and The Only One, etc. And I still loathe the Behind Blue Eyes cover. But just because I have decided to listen back to Limp Bizkit recently makes me think to myself, why carrying on my disdain of Limp Bizkit because of one member, that being, as I said, Fred Durst. Now I know that I think that Limp Bizkit has been really negatively panned for a lot of people, and recently I never understood why. I know they've been one of the most hated bands of all time, just like with, Nickelback and Broken Side, stuff of music like those. However, when I listen to some interviews on why Limp Bizkit are hated that much, I definitely feel the honesty and the personal side from what Fred Durst was saying, and even with West Borland. They're not in it for the fame and the money, but they are in it for a sound that sounds good to them, and they've been open-minded. And I do see now that they are like down-to-earth, nice guys. So I've been beating myself up about that because, what's the point of disliking a band with a popular vocalist who has been so despised? Yeah, I do feel bad at myself that I was scathing Limp Bizkit for being away from them for ages, because yes, I still love listening to a lot of music in various genres, but in my early days when I was discovering a different source of genres, I think Limp Bizkit is a great example for variety. I love metal, classic rock, later genres like ambient, jazz, krautrock, old school hip hop. But Limp Bizkit are, I think, still relevant. And yeah, I did say that Limp Bizkit's reputation and presence has not been the same since results may vary, but I still think, now the more I think about it, that Limp Bizkit's reputation still holds up. I know that some of you guys may think differently about this band. You may hate this band, you may hate Fred Durst, but at this point in time now, I really got to just understand and change my views and feelings about this band. So yeah, to all of the fans of Limp Bizkit, and I even doubt that Fred and company will be watching this, that I want to personally like to send my own apologies, because for such a changed reaction that I once had being away from this band, and now to come back to these guys after such a long time, for me as a music fanatic, I feel a lot better to listen back to this band, and I actually am going to come back to Still Sucks and listen back to some of the stuff. And yet I am still going to buy Significant Other. I've actually ordered my uncensored copy of Chocolate Starfish. I still have $3 Bill Y'all on CD. So yeah, Limp Bizkit are the biggest guilty pleasure band that I just couldn't believe that they have been something quite reflective ever since when I was, loving my own journey of what music is all about. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you love Limp Bizkit? Do you have an experience of this band that have changed your reactions, maybe for the better, like I have in this whole video. And I feel a lot better to address it in this video. So that's why I decided to do it. So from doing a very bashed review on Results May Vary to now thinking, yeah, there was a moment of merit into Limp Bizkit's sound that I actually quite enjoyed. I'm going to wrap this up here. Thank you guys for watching, and if you have made this way to the end of the video, I appreciate you very much. Thank you for being involved with me and to, feel connected and to, hear my own personal thoughts about this whole thing. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll keep you guys posted for more videos in the near future.